Gentlemen, have you felt it slowly happening? Your libido isn't what it used to be. Your physical response feels unreliable when it matters most. Your energy drains faster than your motivation, and that natural sense of masculine vitality you once took for granted now feels like a distant memory. If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to pause and listen carefully, because what I'm about to share may surprise you. The support your body needs to reignite desire, restore blood flow, and bring back reliable performance may already be sitting in your kitchen, overlooked, underestimated, and rarely taken seriously. I'm talking about cloves, those small dried flower buds most people associate with cooking. But used correctly, they influence libido, circulation, testosterone signaling, and vascular health in ways most men have never been told about. And no, this is not about sprinkling a little spice on your food and hoping for the best. What separates this from everything else you've heard is how cloves are prepared, when they're used, and why they work, especially for men dealing with age-related drops in libido, weaker blood flow, and declining responsiveness. Before we go any further, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Aria Brooks, a urologist and intimacy coach, and for over 12 years, I've helped men restore libido, confidence, and physical performance by working with their biology, not against it. Before we continue, let me ask you something. How old are you and where are you watching from? Drop your age and location in the comments. You're not alone in this, and seeing that matters. Now here's what many men notice when cloves are used the right way. Libido that feels natural again, stronger, more reliable firmness, improved morning response, heightened sensitivity, and a quiet return of confidence that carries into every part of life. But before I show you how cloves are used therapeutically, you need to understand what they are, what compounds they contain, and how those compounds affect libido, blood flow, and male function at the cellular level. That understanding is what turns a kitchen spice into a targeted strategy. Cloves are the dried flower buds of the clove tree, a tropical plant originally native to Indonesia and now cultivated across warm regions of the world. For thousands of years, cloves weren't valued just for flavor. They were prized for their effects on circulation, digestion, and vitality. What makes cloves unique is their concentration of a powerful bioactive compound called eugenol. Eugenol makes up the majority of cloves' active content, and it's responsible for both the familiar warm, slightly numbing sensation and the deeper physiological effects that matter for men's health. From a urology perspective, eugenol is interesting for one key reason. It interacts directly with the systems that control blood flow, inflammation, and hormone signaling. As men age, those systems slowly lose efficiency. Blood vessels become less responsive. Nitric oxide signaling weakens. Inflammation quietly increases, and testosterone production no longer fires the way it once did. That combination is what drives declining libido, weaker firmness, slower response, and reduced stamina, not a lack of desire or masculinity. Eugenol helps address those changes at the vascular and cellular level. It supports healthier function of the endothelial cells that line your blood vessels. It protects nitric oxide from being broken down too quickly, and it creates an internal environment that favors circulation instead of stiffness. This matters because erections, libido, and physical response are not separate systems. They're all downstream effects of blood flow quality and hormonal signaling. That's why cloves aren't acting like a stimulant or a shortcut. They're working upstream, supporting the conditions your body needs to respond naturally again. Now that you understand what cloves are and why they're biologically relevant, the next step is to look at how they specifically influence nitric oxide and blood flow, because that's where many men feel the difference first. Nitric oxide is the signal that tells your blood vessels to relax, widen, and allow blood to move freely. When nitric oxide levels are strong, circulation is responsive. When they decline, blood vessels stay tense, narrow, and uncooperative. That's not a motivation problem, it's a signaling problem. As men age, nitric oxide production drops for three main reasons. Endothelial cells become damaged, oxidative stress destroys nitric oxide faster than the body can produce it, and chronic inflammation interferes with normal vascular function. This is where cloves come in. The primary active compound in cloves supports nitric oxide in two important ways. First, it helps stimulate the enzymes inside blood vessels vessels that produce nitric oxide in the first place. That means better signaling at the source, not forcing blood flow, but restoring the body's ability to create it. Second, it protects nitric oxide once it's produced. Oxidative stress acts like rust inside the vascular system, breaking nitric oxide down before it can do its job. The compounds in cloves help neutralize that oxidative damage, allowing nitric oxide to last longer and work more effectively. The result is smoother, more reliable blood vessel relaxation. And when blood vessels relax properly, blood flow to sensitive tissues improves, not briefly, but in a sustained way. This is why many men notice improved warmth, fullness, and responsiveness rather than a sudden artificial spike. It feels natural because it is. Better circulation doesn't just affect erections. It improves sensitivity, endurance, and recovery, all of which influence libido as well. Your body starts responding again because the underlying plumbing is working the way it should. And this is only one layer of the effect. Gentlemen, blood flow alone is only part of the picture. Desire, real spontaneous libido, is driven by hormonal signaling, especially testosterone. And this is where cloves quietly do something most men don't expect. As testosterone declines with age, libido often fades first. Not suddenly, but gradually, interest drops, motivation weakens, confidence feels muted, and physical response becomes less reliable, even when blood flow is technically adequate. Research on cloves shows that their primary compounds support testosterone production at the cellular level. They do this by improving the activity of enzymes inside the testes that convert cholesterol into testosterone, the very first step in hormone synthesis. When that step slows down, testosterone falls no matter how healthy the rest of the system looks. Cloves help keep that pathway active. At the same time, they reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, two factors that silently suppress testosterone signaling throughout the body. Chronic inflammation interferes with how hormones bind to receptors, which means even normal testosterone levels can feel ineffective. This is why some men test within range but still feel flat. By lowering inflammatory load and protecting hormone-sensitive tissues, cloves help testosterone work better, not just measure higher. There's another important layer here. Oxidative damage doesn't just affect hormones. It damages blood vessels, nerves, and mitochondria, the energy centers inside your cells. That damage accumulates year after year, contributing to fatigue, slower recovery, and declining sexual responsiveness. Cloves are among the most potent natural antioxidants studied. They help neutralize free radicals before they damage the vascular lining and nerve tissue involved in arousal and sensation. When hormone signaling improves and cellular damage slows, libido often returns naturally, not as pressure, but as interest. Men describe it as feeling switched back on, and once both blood flow and hormonal signals are supported, the body is far more responsive to simple strategies. Now let's talk about how to actually use cloves in a way that delivers these benefits consistently, without guessing. Part 5. Cloves don't work because you sprinkle a little on food once in a while and hope for the best. They work when they're used intentionally, in a way that allows their active compounds to actually reach your system. The simplest and most effective method is oral use. Whole cloves or freshly ground clove powder are best. Whole cloves preserve potency longer, while powder is easier to measure and mix. A practical daily range is a small, consistent amount, enough to support circulation and hormonal signaling without stressing digestion. Many men prefer taking cloves in the morning, when hormone signaling and blood flow naturally peak. Some chew whole cloves slowly, others mix ground cloves into warm water, tea, or coffee. The warmth helps release the active compounds and improves absorption. The key isn't perfection, it's consistency. Taken regularly, cloves support nitric oxide signaling, reduce oxidative stress, and reinforce testosterone pathways over time. That's why the most noticeable changes tend to build over weeks, not hours. Now, before we move on, I want to briefly mention something important. If you're watching this because you want more than a single trick, if you want a clear system that ties circulation, hormones, energy, and intimacy together, I've put that framework into a guide called the All-in-One Men's Vitality and Intimacy Blueprint. It's designed for men over 50 and lays out how to rebuild confidence, blood flow, and desire in a practical, step-by-step way, using the same principles I work with in practice. benefits. You'll find it linked in the description and pinned comment if you'd like to go deeper. Gentlemen, cloves are effective on their own, but they work even better when the body is supported from multiple angles. Certain natural ingredients amplify the same pathways cloves act on: blood flow, hormone signaling, and metabolic health. When combined thoughtfully, the effects are smoother and more consistent. Warming spices that support circulation help extend the nitric oxide response. Ingredients that improve glucose control protect blood vessels and nerves. And compounds that enhance absorption help the body actually use what you're taking. Just as important as what you take is when you take it. Morning use aligns well with the body's natural rhythm of hormone production. Taking cloves earlier in the day supports energy, mental clarity, and baseline libido. For men using them to support performance, timing them 1 to 2 hours before intimacy allows circulation and vascular responsiveness to peak naturally. For long-term results, daily use matters more than precise timing. The goal is to gradually restore healthier signaling, not chase a temporary surge. Now, a few safety notes, because using things the right way matters. Cloves are generally very safe in culinary and moderate supplemental amounts. Some men notice mild digestive warmth or sensitivity at first. If that happens, simply reduce the amount and build up gradually, or take them with food. Men on blood-thinning medications should check with their doctor before using higher amounts, as cloves can mildly support circulation through platelet effects. One important point: avoid internal use of concentrated clove essential oil. Whole cloves and ground powder are appropriate. Essential oils are far too strong unless professionally diluted. Used correctly, cloves support the system without forcing it. And when blood flow, hormones, and inflammation are addressed together, the changes don't just show up physically, they show up in confidence. Let's bring this together and talk about what realistic results look like and how to think about progress. Some men notice changes in interest and libido within the first couple of weeks: a quiet return of desire, more spontaneous thoughts, a stronger sense of engagement. That's usually the hormonal signaling waking back up. Improvements in firmness, responsiveness, and circulation often follow over the next few weeks as blood vessels become more flexible and nitric oxide signaling stabilizes. The deeper benefits, energy, confidence, consistency, build over time. This isn't about forcing performance. It's about restoring the systems that make performance natural again. And it's important to be clear: cloves are not a miracle cure on their own. They work best as part of a bigger picture, alongside movement, sleep, stress control, and proper nutrition. When those pieces support each other, simple tools like this become far more effective. Before we wrap up, a quick note many of you ask me about. In my work, I focus on a small number of natural supports that consistently help men. One that supports circulation, one for stamina and performance, one that helps maintain healthy testosterone balance, and one for prostate comfort. I've linked those below if you'd like to explore them alongside what you're already doing. And remember, this channel is a place where men don't have to guess or feel alone. If this video helped, let me know in the comments your age and where you're watching from. You'll be surprised how many men are on the same path. If men's health and confidence matter to you, make sure you're subscribed. I'm Dr. Aria Brooks, and I'll see you in the next video.